am very lucky today, joined by President of INVOKE, Johnny. How are you doing today?
I'm excellent. It's good to see you again, Paula.
Good to see you too. So we have several announcements coming up. This is one of many. And so I wanted to kind of give all of our friends and partners in the ecosystem a little bit of a heads up of what we've been cooking with the strategic partnership between WonderBotz and Johnny. So do you want to share a little bit about what we've been cooking up?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think INVOKE and WonderBotz have been in this intelligent automation space for quite a number of years. And the more and more we talk to each other, the more and more we see our customers asking for very similar things. And so for the last 6-7 months, we've been saying, you know what, we should really get a little bit closer together, because if we join forces and work together, we can offer even more value to our customers, both in the services that we offer, the breadth of geographical location, and all of the assets and solutions that we've built that we're now cross-selling to our customers together, and where our customers can benefit from an accelerated roadmap into their automation journey. So really excited about that.
No, and as are we. And it doesn't hurt that we're both award winners, right? In both ROM best practices, and really understanding how to apply the technology in an intelligent way, right? And so I think part of why we wanted to bring this alliance together is we were tired of seeing folks buy, bots and not do anything with them, when we knew that there was a ready-made pipeline in the back office that just could kickstart everything and kind of get that value at scale. So let's go through some of the usual suspects. I haven't been in this game as long as you have. I can pull an age card real quick. But in my time, the usual suspects continue to pop up. And one of the reasons I joined WonderBotz was the synthesized approach to solving back office automation. And we came with a whole bunch of pre-builds, and you guys came with a few more, and coupling that with Aria, I think just really gives us kind of this well-baked solution that I'm really excited to share with everybody. So let's start with the use cases, right? Because we can always talk about the technology, but another value system that we both share at INVOKE and WonderBotz is that you lead with value, right? And that the automations that you choose and the use cases that you wind up automating are really what set the tone for driving value. So I know one of the ones that you've had a lot of success with and has really kind of pushed the mark is on purchase order processing. So I actually came to you for help with one of those earlier last week. So why don't you share a little bit about purchase order processing and some of the successes that the INVOKE side has seen on that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate it. So the idea here, as you said, is increasing the value to our customers. So we always are trying to think about how do we speed up the ability to deploy these solutions to our customers. And, we're in the automation business, so we should be looking at automating a lot of the work that gets around deploying these things. And so that's really what the backdrop of all this is. And so purchase orders is one of these areas that can either sit in finance or in supply chain, depending on what type of industry that you're in. But it's kind of the lifeblood of the organization. You get orders in from customers who want to buy your products or services. And there's a number of things that go on in your organization to get a purchase order and get it all the way processed through. And it can be quite complex, right? I mean, if you're a software company, maybe you get an order for a software license key, and you can just issue the license key and you're done. Yay. If you're a services company, well, now you have to figure out what are these services and who's going to do that? What's the timeline? When can I free up people? So it gets a little bit more and more complex. Well, when you're in manufacturing, you actually have to figure out, can I produce these goods, right? And by when can I produce them? Do I have the actual raw materials? What does my production schedule look like? So it can become pretty gnarly, because the purchase order says, I want these goods at this time, and you need to figure all this out. And so there's an entire process that happens between somebody wanting something that you have to offer and you actually being able to execute on it. And in the meantime, in between, there's a lot of moving pieces, right? I have to keep the client up to date. I'm figuring out how, can I deliver these goods and all these things? And I have to probably keep a very close communication loop, because maybe that client can go somewhere else if they're not confident in me delivering on it. And internally, operationally, I have to go get the wheels in motion to make sure that we can deliver on it and we can schedule it. And so really, from the intake process of a purchase order coming in, which is usually extracted from a client's finance system. So it could be in any type of format. It could be an email, a PDF attachment, whatever it may be, all the way down to getting this into your back-end systems and working with all the departments to make sure that everything that you're approving is actually doable. That process can take quite a bit of time and money. And not only is it great from a customer experience if you speed that up, but the the faster that you can get to an approved point and that things get into motion, the more efficient your actual production line runs, right? Because now you know when you're going to produce these things, when to order goods and all of those things. Just think about the current supply chain issues that we have. Knowing what raw materials you have to order by when, that's a big issue, right? And the faster you can get that organized, the better you can actually deliver on your promises. So that whole process has been incredibly valuable for any of those industries that we mentioned, but particularly in the current supply chain challenge world, the manufacturing industry is just loving the fact that we can automate this to a large degree.
No, that's fantastic. And one of the other things that I was just thinking of, that we kind of tacked into our back office bundle, is invoice processing. And both of us had taken different approaches, to invoice processing and, synthesizing the way that works. That's a no-brainer, right? The ability to be able to read, the invoice that comes in, process it, and then be able to, apply it to the system of record and or report on, something being done and having the subsequent alerts along the way to make sure that the process is getting done and that, escalations are happening as needed. That's asked for over and over again. The other unique thing that I kind of wanted to just highlight as you were talking about purchase orders, is that another thing about the back office bundle is it's really marrying kind of the best of the design thinking and really thinking about approaching this from a digital worker perspective rather than redoing things the way that the human and knowledge worker does, right? And so that's the other beauty of the back office bundle is we're able to quickly deploy these things because we're not having to check our math, or do a pivot table along the way to the process, right? The robot's able to ingest a whole bunch of data, compute a whole bunch of data, and those are kind of the repeatable use cases that we continue to promote. Funny, trick for the veterans too, is that purchase order processing and invoice processing looks a lot alike. The technologies that you apply are a technology that can read and extract as well as orchestrate the functions being done. So again, really excited to collaborate on those. So another one that I think, aligns to the process of, we like to find the ones that also bring money in, right? So the purchase orders, like you said, it's the tip of the spear bringing money to the table. Another one is the cash application, making sure that we're timely and up to date on that one. So we threw that into the back office bundle. I think that one made sense as a early adopter as well. So why don't you tell me a little bit about the successes you guys have had with cash application?
So cash application is very interesting from a point of view that this is really where you're the happiest as a company. You get your money from all the hard work that you did, right? And so the faster that you can apply that cash, the easier it is for you to go and use that cash for maybe purchasing more goods or hiring more people or running your business. And so you want to do that very efficiently. And as you can imagine, just with any of the other processes that we talked about, there's an enormous amount of variability in business rules that really come into the picture. The cash application, the first thing is you can get cash in a number of different ways. You can get it through, ACHs from your bank, but here in the US, quite often you get actual checks that come in, you have remittances that go with it, all this type of stuff. So you can get information from just an enormous amount of sources. And then when you get the cash, in order to use it, you have to figure out what are people paying me for, right? And that may seem very obvious, but if you're running a business with thousands and thousands of transactions and somebody's paying you an amount of money, we could have maybe 20 different orders from a particular customer. Which one is this particular order related to? So you have to now match things up. You can say, hey, okay, I've gotten money. What were the orders that customer placed with me? Which ones did I deliver? Which ones should I be getting paid for? And how do I match it? And then you have to go through all sorts of other decision points like, hey, did they pay me the correct amount? Did they overpay me? Did they underpay me? Why did they do that? So there's a lot of, again, follow-up activities that happen. And so, again, what you don't want to do is you don't want to get that money and not be able to figure out where it belongs because then it's sitting there and you can't use it productively. So being able to do that and really squeeze that timeline altogether becomes really important. And as you were describing with purchase orders and invoice processing and all these other back office bundles, what we've done is we've taken an approach to say, yes, you need to automate all these things. That's number one. Number two, you want to be able to use your existing system. So you want to use these digital robots, these digital workers to go into your system and really apply your business rules. So that's fantastic. You may need other technologies to really understand, extract data, do data manipulation, things like that. But what we also have added to all of this is a user experience so you can monitor what's going on. what was happening? Did all of this get done magically correctly? Can I audit all these things and see if something happened that it was done correctly? Or if maybe there's an exception that happens, a business rule exception where you may need an approval or you may need to validate some data, that you can do that all in the same place. And so that experience for a business user is quite important, because they want to know that now they have a whole team of digital workers running around and doing all these activities, that this thing is happening in a secure, compliant manner, that all these things are happening correctly. And so we've packaged all these things together so that we can essentially deploy this very easily and then adjust to your systems and your business rules very quickly, so that we can get success in a very rapid manner for all of these back office bundle products that we're talking about. And that's just the start, of course.
No, and I think that's really important to kind of segue into that, because the last of the use cases that we decided to include was a reporting mechanism, right? And so reporting has been one of the places that we've seen as kind of a head start to any automation. The utility itself, the robot, is actually designed to extract data from a number of different sources, right? And at the end of the day, hopefully, everybody's noticing a pattern. All of these are about getting better business insights for the back office. And with that, that's where strategic planning comes in, right? Our typical buyer for this is the senior finance leader, both because of what you just described, Johnny, that he has this bespoke infrastructure system that's kind of autonomous, with the ability to look over, and see what things are happening. And I want you to dig into the infrastructure piece a little bit more, but also the ability to kind of look and say, in my backyard, the things that really are the pulse of the organization, cash in, cash out, money flowing. We actually have autonomy over the way that's supposed to look, the way that's supposed to be processed, and what we're supposed to streamline, right? So that this is ultimately scalable. The beauty of the back office bundle is we can rev it up and we can rev it down for multiple different organization sizes, right? So we have given ourselves sort of the flexibility as two organizations to be able to deliver this offering, to multiple sized organizations, really leveraging the levers that they can pull from the systems that they share in common, right? And so that's the real trick, is once we extract data from one, it's really about orchestrating the way that they're going to get the process done, and that's the beauty of pulling these together. So Johnny, why don't you elaborate a little bit on ARIA, kind of the wheelhouse that sort of makes all the engines turn, and how it's sort of been simplified for a business user to really adopt. And it's not, the fatigue of an old, IT infrastructure, whole multi-million-dollar situation that some of our CFO friends are fatigued by over the years.
Absolutely. No, certainly. So I think we provide a little bit a combination of the benefit of intelligent automation with the benefit of a software as a service model. And so what we've done is we've packaged in all these different technologies that you need in order to automate most of that work on a day-to-day basis. And we've packaged in the infrastructure needed to run all of that. In addition to that, we've provided that whole user experience that we talked about, so that you can now really interact with these automations. And all of that is kind of handed to you in an as a service model that securely can connect to your systems and applications, or your cloud systems and applications as well, so that it can be turned on and run without you having to do a lot of heavy lifting, or without you having to go and tap on your IT department, who usually has bigger fish to fry, right? They have a lot going on, acquisitions and migrations of systems and what have you. And so this makes it really easy to go from zero to go live very quickly. We can turn it on, securely connect. We go through the review with your InfoSec environment, apply your business rules, connect to your systems, done, right? And so that is really a matter of weeks as opposed to months that we can turn these things on and get value and can see the result. And we've scaled it in such a way, like you were saying, that you're not paying for all of this infrastructure if you only need a subset of that, right? We've been able to manage it, even though it's very much your own segregated and secure and compliant environment. You're not paying for so much that the ROI doesn't make sense. And as you were saying, the nice thing about these back office bundles, there's now so many of them. We talked about purchase orders and invoice processing and cash application. Even the report solution that we have, it's just so powerful, right? I mean, I think that by being able to not have to go in and say, okay, let me analyze what I want as a customer, but being able to say, oh, you've already done the thinking for me. You've already implemented this dozens of times. You know what I need here. It makes that implementation process so much faster. And the example that you gave on the reporting side is an interesting one, where a lot of customers have their own analytics dashboards and being able to cobble together reporting elements. But really what they are missing oftentimes is kind of this operational alerting capability, that if something goes outside of certain metrics or certain areas, that you are notified as a business owner or a CFO or even a manager, that you need to take action or look into something, and that you have all the information that you need to take action or to analyze or to make a decision. And that's where I think the reporting function becomes so critical, because a lot of the systems we have, you can go and proactively go and take the effort to go look at things and see whether things are wrong or not. But the systems aren't always telling you when something is wrong. And so this is what we want to come in with the reporting side. We want to say, yeah, we can do the reporting side, and we know you have other tools that you can do reporting with as well. What we really want to do is make sure that you have somebody watching your organization on a daily basis and tells you when you need to go and pay attention to something, when something is out of whack, right? And that can just save so much time and effort, because if you don't know that, let's say one of your key customers still has massive amount of outstanding payments and your daily sales outstanding is growing beyond a number that's not within a certain average that you're expecting, you kind of want to know fast. You don't want to know 2 days or 5 days later when suddenly you've lost all that time to collect the money. So the tools themselves and each of the use cases, I should say, are giving such a tremendous value back to the customer, and the ability of us, putting this in a packaged approach and in a fast deployment approach, adds to that value that we're trying to give back.
I think that's fantastic. And I think the other piece, that it's important to highlight too, is that we're giving back, the autonomy to the business workers to actually use their brains, right? And so we're effectively eliminating, the mundane stuff, but in a very, very strategic and surgical kind of, method. And like you said, at scale, and something that's been tried and true. One of the things that often leads to a failed project is not having a robust pipeline. And so with the back office bundle, we ready enable our clients to be able to say, okay, what other levers, what else do we want to add to the puzzle piece, so to speak, right? And it becomes building blocks and Legos that put together an automation program that really delivers value back. And so that's another piece that's really exciting about it, is the scalability, right? And once you kind of taste a little bit of what automation can do for a program and the adoption's there, why not scale? That's what we really set everybody up for. So I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, you bring up a really good point, right? I think it's interesting to see, but we have created this concept of knowledge worker. And a lot of what the knowledge worker today does is related to knowledge of systems and applications. And we really want to elevate the knowledge work to a next level, which is really understanding your customers and your business value and how you differentiate and how you run your business, and take the system application knowledge kind of out of it, because these systems and these applications should be intuitive to any user, as opposed to us having to spend months or years learning how a system operates. Right? It always gets me when we've got people going like, well, in order to really do this transaction, you have to click here first and then do that. Well, that's not something you should be worried about, right? And so what we're doing with automation is taking all of that, what I would call lower knowledge work, out of the human side of it, and give room for people to really start thinking about the business and really start working with their customers and their partners to figure out how to drive the business forward. And I think that's just super exciting. And like you said, it's scalable, because at this point now, that employee that was doing a lot of the clicking now becomes a much higher value employee to the business.
Well, and the savvy finance leaders that really understand what this is, they can collaborate with their HR partners and say, hey, this is a retention strategy as well.
Yes,
we have such the great resignation. I don't know how many more, titles they're going to give it, but it's really hard to hire and retain good talent. And it's because it's no longer acceptable to have, a clunky back office that you rely on, 16 logins and a few pivot tables to get the starting point of your job.
Yes.
So I think the rise of the employees, the knowledge workers today, they have enough knowledge to say there should be technology that makes this better.
Absolutely.
And I think the onus is on the business to make that happen. And I think with what we're bringing to the table, we're really empowering the business leaders to take charge and be able to implement something like this that can really drive value, at scale. And it's simply adopting a new business unit. It's the digital workforce,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the biggest benefit we see from what we're offering here, as opposed to anything else that's on the market, is the ability to deploy these things within the existing environment, right? We all know that we've made investments as businesses, we've bought certain systems, we've implemented those systems, we have certain applications, and we're always looking for what's maybe a better system and so on. But there's only so much change we can handle as a business. And so the ability to come in and give essentially this digital workforce that will work on your systems, your business rules, your applications, your Excel sheets, as opposed to forcing you to go and adopt a new application, is so valuable because you can deploy it now. You don't have to wait 6 months or 9 months or wait for APIs to be built or the next version of your application to do something. You can deploy it now and it will stay working as you migrate from system to system.
Yeah, it's surgically inserted talent for the function that it needs to solve
exactly
for.
Right.
It's, it really is brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Johnny. I'm looking forward to share more with everybody about what we have drumming up, but stay tuned for a back office bundle coming to a theater near you. It's the first of our many collaborations.
Thank you,
All right.
Paula.